Guys, there's no denying it. Criticize me as you will, but Pokemon are awesome! And the series as a whole is not only the second best-selling video game franchise ever, right behind Mario, but is also my favorite gaming series ever. And I still need to get right too! Anyways, we all have our favorites, whether they look awesome, kick ass in battle, or both. So, I will count down my top 17 favorite Pokemon. Why 17? Because what I will do is that I'm going to take a Pokemon from each type and put them on in order of how much I like them. But don't get confused about the dual types. For example, if I were to put Frostlass on here along with Gengar, since they are both ghost types, I would put Frostlass in Ice and Gengar in Ghost. But that's just an example. Sorry, you're not going to see them on here later. Well, that depends. Anyways, feel different, make a comment, video response, yada yada yada, bing bong boop! So, let's do this. At number 17, we have my favorite rock type, Rampardos. Oh come on, how can I not like this guy? Well, let's get into why I like him. First off, he's based off of a Pachycephalosaurus, which is a dinosaur that had a thick skull for ramming into its opponents, and Rampardos looks like one that just turned evil. Not to mention, he looks incredibly badass. Now, let's get into his stats. For a rock type, his defenses are extremely unimpressive and his speed is utter shit. However, Rampardos has the highest attack stat of all non-legendary Pokemon, reaching a maximum of 471. That outclasses even Slaking and Regigigas, and it rivals Black Kyurem and Attack Form Deoxys. While his defenses suck, and so does his speed, get off a Rock Polish or put it on a Trick Room team, and your opponent will start begging for mercy. Both of his abilities are pretty useful. His first one is Mold Breaker, which prevents any ability that hinders a move from working. Hell, he can hit a Hydreigon with Earthquake thanks to that. His hidden ability is Sheer Force, which removes added effects to up the power of his attacks. Not to mention, his move pool supports that perfectly. It's huge. He can learn moves like the Elemental Punches, Superpower Crunch, Zen Headbutt, Surf, and so much more. Sweet lord. Overall, Rampardos is a badass, hard-hitting monster of a Pokemon. Use it right, and you won't be disappointed. At number 16, we have my favorite normal type by far, Porygon Z. That's right, it's Porygon Z. Now, I know, some of you Gen 1ers are going to think that it sucks because it looks like a deformed Porygon, but just listen to my thoughts, please. And if you're not going to listen, then feck off. First off, Porygon Z's concept. It is one of the coolest concepts of any Pokemon ever. He was upgraded from Porygon 2 using a dubious disc to be able to travel to alien dimensions. My god, that concept is just freaking awesome. Next, battle capabilities. Porygon Z is a special attacking monster of a Pokemon. His special attack can get as high as 405, meaning he has the highest special attack of any normal type in existence, even outclassing Meloetta. And to boost that with Nasty Plot? You're fecked. I also like Porygon Z's design for some reason. Can't explain why to be honest, but I just do. Also, his move pool is freaking huge. Sure, it's no Absol, but it can learn a lot of beam-based attacks such as Tri-Attack, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Dark Pulse, and so on. End of discussion. Porygon Z is just awesome. At number 15, we have my favorite flying type, who is also the most American Pokemon in existence, Braviary. Quick apologies to Staraptor and Swellow, they were both close to taking this spot and I love both of them. But Braviary is just more awesome in my opinion, so sorry. Design first. Sure, it looks like a regular bird, but I like the color and overall badassery of Braviary. And as you can guess, Braviary is a physical attacker, and a pretty damn good one at that. His attack outclasses even Staraptor, being at a base 123 attack. The rest of his stats are average at best, and his move pool is very meh. But I don't care about that, I just have to like Braviri. This guy was one of the main reasons White was my Gen 5 version, and the reason I will trade in White to get White 2 because I can get him at a low level early in the game. Woohoo! But seriously, if White 2 is better, I won't really care for White 1, as the battles will be a lot better and there will be much more to do. Great, I'm getting off topic. Anyways, Braviri is my favorite flying type by a long shot, as well as one of my personal favorite Pokemon from Generation 5. This one was pretty tough to choose, actually. For my favorite Steel type, I had to pick either Durant, the Pokemon Durant, or Scizor. In the end, the number 14 spot goes to Scizor. Oh my god, I love this Pokemon. He is easily my second favorite Gen 2 Pokemon, as well as my favorite Steel type. So, let's take a look at why. 1. He is one of the coolest Pokemon in existence. Seriously, I don't even need to talk about it. His looks alone are self-explanatory. 2. He is a very dangerous physical attacker with an attack reaching 394. That rivals Garchomp and even Ho-Oh. Combine that with Sword Stats and Bullet Punch, your opponent is utterly screwed. Thanks to his typing, he has a ton of resistances, and his only weakness is fire. Overall, Scizor is a badass, powerful, and just generally awesome Bug and Steel type Pokemon. He's not my favorite Bug type, that will appear later on the list, but he is by far my favorite Steel type. I know I've said that before, but still. Scizor is just so fecking awesome! I bet you Gen 1 fans are probably sick of the lack of Generation 1 Pokemon. Well, wait no longer, as the number 13 spot goes to my favorite Fire type, as well as my favorite Pokemon in all of Generation 1, Arcanine. Oh my god, I can't even describe how awesome this Pokemon is. First, he looks amazing. I can't really explain, I'm just not really good at explaining looks. But, how about we just say, this guy looks feckin' awesome. Anyways, stat-wise, he is one of the best fire types you can have. Arcanine has the highest base stat total of all non-legendary fire types, being a base stat total of 555. That outclasses even Volcarona, a solar deity. Also, Arcanine's stats are very well balanced. His best stat is attack, getting as high as 350. He also has a pretty impressive move pool, ranging from moves like Wild Charge, Outrage, Extreme Speed, the Elemental Fangs, and even Close Combat. This is one reason why I like Arcanine. He is extremely versatile. So it's pretty easy to see why Arcanine is my favorite fire type. I could go on for ages about this Pokemon, but since I want to keep this short, I'm just going to move on. Let's move on to number 12 already. At number 12, we have my favorite poison type, Scolipede. To be honest, it's gonna be pretty difficult to describe this one. First off, his design is actually kinda strange. I still think it looks pretty damn cool, but to me it looks a bit like a cross between a centipede, a basilisk, and a bull. I have no clue what my imagination makes me think, okay? Anyways, in battle, he is a real beast. He is actually a very deadly physical sweeper, with a base speed stat of 112. He is one of the fastest bug Pokemon ever, as well as being one of the fastest poison types. Sure, he's no Ninjask or Crobat, but still. It's especially impressive when you consider the fact that he's the tallest and heaviest bug Pokemon of all. Anyways, his attack is actually pretty decent, but nothing too special. But it does get access to Sword Stance, along with Mega Horn and Swarm. And along with being able to learn moves like Earthquake and Rock Slide, which is pretty rare to bug types, and even in some cases, rare to poison types. This means he can really screw up your opponent's day. I also must mention, Scolipede's shiny form looks kick-ass! I mean, that shade of red is awesome, and I also like the little blue rings. And yes, before you ask, red is my favorite color. He can also be a pretty good supporter, actually, with access to spikes and toxic spikes. He can also learn a lot of poison type moves, like any poison type can, such as Toxic, Poison Jab, and Venoshock, just to name a few. While Toxic and Venoshock is a deadly combo, it's not the best to use with Scolipede, as his special attack is rather mediocre. But, in short, if you're looking for a good offensive poison type, or even a good bug type for that matter, give Scolipede a shot. He won't disappoint. He's not exactly my favorite bug type, but he's certainly my favorite poison type. But I'm sure I already mentioned that. At number 11, we have Raikou. Come in.
Did you just say Raikou?
I said Raikou, and what exactly is the big deal?
And not Luxray.
Melissa, this is my list, so why are you going off fangirl? You're not even into Pokemon.
I used to be, and my favourite Pokemon was Luxray because he's good. He's all fluffy and cuddly and kind of cute. And you just want to give him a big hug, and he's good. And he was my best Pokemon. He was my highest level, and he was awesome.
I thought that was Girafarig.
Girafarig as well.
Luxray was good. He has good stats. He can learn some pretty decent moves, but I just prefer Raikou.
You're dead to me. Dead, I say!
Let's move on. Now, hopefully if my mad sister doesn't intend on interfering with us anymore, we can move on with the list. Up next is my favorite electric type, Raikou. I think when I was discussing Scizor, I said he was my favorite Generation 2 Poké. Sorry, I said that wrong. I meant to say that he was my third favorite. Raikou is my second favorite, and let me tell you, he deserves it. First off, Raikou is a Pokemon that has been said to have been born when lightning struck. My god, that is an awesome concept. Blitzel ripped off this concept, however, when he came along in Generation 5, which I'm not happy about. It's not to say I don't like Blitzel, but that's just something I had to say. And no, I don't hate Gen 5, it's actually my second favorite generation. Anyways, Raikou looks like a saber-toothed tiger, which I find kind of weird as people call them legendary dogs. How does this look like a dog? Logic? It's not even logic, just... Anyways, as a legendary Pokemon, Raikou has very good stats. His two best stats are speed and special attack, which are both base 115. He also has some pretty good special defense. While he's not as offensive as Zapdos, I prefer him for being cooler and for being, well, more balanced. He can also learn moves like Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, Extrasensory, and so on. In short, Raikou is an awesome Pokemon. If there's any electric type I can recommend, it would definitely be Raikou. I don't care what you have to do, just get one.